They say the IRS doesn't have a sense of humor. But what they don't tell you is that when you hand them a gift-wrapped case of tax fraud, they become your most loyal ally. My name is Isabel Grant. And 9 months ago, I sat in my car outside Meridian Solutions at 9 p.m., crying over an $8,247 credit card bill I couldn't pay, expenses my boss had promised to reimburse, expenses he'd actually stolen and submitted under his own name. When I finally worked up the courage to confront him, Derek Callahan looked me dead in the eye and said, "Should have gotten it in writing, sweetheart." So I did. I spent 4 months building a forensic paper trail of every fake expense, every stolen receipt, every fraudulent reimbursement, and mailed it to the IRS Criminal Investigation Division with a 23-page cover letter. And by the time Derek realized what I'd done, his Tesla was repossessed, his wife had filed for divorce, and federal agents were walking through his office with boxes. This is exactly how I turned $8,000 of stolen expenses into a federal case that destroyed him. I joined Meridian Solutions in January 2021 as a junior account manager. 26 years old, fresh MBA from a state school, $52,000 salary, and student loans that made my stomach hurt every time I checked my bank account. But I was hungry. Meridian sold enterprise software to manufacturing companies, inventory tracking, supply chain optimization. The kind of boring but essential tech that keeps factories running. Derek Callahan was my regional sales director. 8 years at the company, consistent numbers, corner office with a view of downtown Minneapolis. He hired me during a 15-minute phone interview. "You sound smart. You sound motivated. Can you start Monday?" I should have known something was off. For the first 6 months, I loved it. Derek taught me how to read clients, pivot when objections came up, structure deals. He took me to site visits, introduced me to VPs, let me shadow his presentations. I thought he was mentoring me. I closed my first deal in April, $340,000 contract with a packaging company in Wisconsin. Derek took me out for drinks, told me I had the gift, said I reminded him of himself. By December, I'd closed 4 more deals. My commission checks were finally making a dent in my loans. And that's when Derek started asking me to pay for things. "Isabel, hey, my corporate card got declined at dinner. Can you cover it? I'll expense it tomorrow and get you reimbursed by Friday." It was $340. Client dinner in Ohio. 4 people, steak, wine, dessert. I handed over my personal Amex. "No problem. Just send me the expense report confirmation." "Absolutely. Thanks for being a team player." Friday came and went. No reimbursement. I followed up the next week. Derek said finance was backed up and it would hit my account any day now. 3 weeks later, still nothing. I went to his office. "Derek, I still haven't been reimbursed for that Ohio dinner." He looked up from his laptop, annoyed. "Did you submit the receipt?" "I gave it to you. You said you'd expense it." "Well, I don't have it. You need to submit it yourself through the portal." I stared at him. "You told me you'd handle it." He leaned back in his chair, hands behind his head. "Isabel, I'm not your personal assistant. If you want reimbursement, follow the process." But honestly, it's been almost a month. They might not even accept it now. My face went hot. $340 might not sound like a lot to someone driving a Tesla. But to me, with $86,000 in student loans and $1,400 rent, it was groceries for 2 weeks. "Okay," I said quietly. "I'll submit it." "Great. And next time, get it in the system right away. I can't babysit everyone's expenses." That should have been my first clue. But I was young. I wanted to be a team player. It wasn't a mistake. It was a test. 3 months later, we were in St. Louis closing a deal with a logistics company. Derek and I took the client, VP of Operations, CFO, and IT Director, to a steakhouse downtown. $240 per person tasting menu. Wine pairings. The works. The bill came. $1,847. Derek reached for his wallet, then patted his pockets. Frowned. Ah, damn. I left my corporate card at the hotel. Isabel, can you grab this? I'll expense it first thing Monday. All 3 clients were watching. I smiled. Of course. I handed over my Amex. My hands were shaking. Monday came. No reimbursement. I texted him, "Hey, still waiting on that St. Louis dinner expense." He replied 3 days later, "Submit it yourself." I'm slammed. I submitted it. Finance rejected it. Manager approval required. I asked Derek to approve it. He said he didn't remember the dinner. That was the 5th time. Over the next 8 months, it happened twice more. Client dinners. Hotel rooms when corporate travel forgot to book me. A $1,200 flight to Denver when Derek's assistant accidentally left me off the reservation. By October 2022, I was owed $8,247. I had receipts for everything. Spreadsheets. Email confirmations. Screenshots of text messages where Derek had explicitly told me to go ahead and pay, I'll handle reimbursement. I submitted formal expense reports through the portal. Followed up with finance. Sent polite reminder emails to Derek. Nothing. And then, in November, I made the mistake of pushing too hard. It was a Tuesday morning. I'd just gotten off a call with a prospect in Indiana, a deal I'd been working for 3 months, worth $420,000. I was exhausted. Frustrated. I just checked my credit card statement and realized I was carrying a balance for the first time in my life because of Derek's unpaid expenses. I walked into his office without knocking. "Derek, we need to talk about the $8,247 you owe me." He didn't even look up from his phone. "I don't owe you anything, Isabel. The company reimburses expenses. Take it up with finance." I have taken it up with finance. They keep rejecting my reports because they say you haven't approved them. Then maybe you shouldn't have paid for things without getting pre-approval. I stared at him. You told me to pay for them. You said your card was declined. You said you'd handle it. He finally looked up. His expression was cold. Bored. "Isabel, I don't remember saying that. And even if I did, you're a grown woman. You should know better than to hand over your personal card without documentation. That's on you." My hands started shaking. "That's on me? Derek, I have text messages from you. Emails. I have proof." He set his phone down slowly. "You know what your problem is? You're too emotional. This is business. If you can't handle a few expenses without falling apart, maybe you're not cut out for sales." I felt my throat tighten. My eyes burned. But I didn't cry. I stood there, silent, while he picked his phone back up and started scrolling. "Close the door on your way out," he said. I walked out. And I didn't close the door. I went back to my desk, opened my laptop, and started digging. Here's what most people don't understand about revenge: anger gets you caught. Accusations without proof get you fired. The smartest revenge looks like nothing until it's too late. I went home that night and made a decision. If Derek wasn't going to pay me back, I was going to find out why. I started with my own records. Every receipt, every email, every text message where Derek had asked me to cover something. I organized it all in a spreadsheet with dates, amounts, and his exact words. Then I started looking at patterns. Things I noticed. Derek's corporate card got declined at least once a month. But he was a regional director with a 6-figure salary. Why would his card keep getting declined? The expenses he asked me to cover were almost always client dinners or travel, things that should have been automatically approved through corporate. When I checked the company's internal expense portal, Derek submitted his own reports every month like clockwork. Thousands of dollars. All approved. So why was my money being rejected? Meridian's expense portal had a feature where you could see other people's reports if they were on your team. Most people didn't know this. It was buried in settings, meant for managers to audit direct reports. But I found it. And I started looking at Derek's submissions. What I found made my stomach drop. Derek wasn't just expensing his own meals and travel. He was expensing mine. Remember that $340 dinner in Ohio? The one he told me to cover because his card was declined? He'd submitted it. Under his name. As his expense. The company had reimbursed him $340. And I'd never gotten my money back. I kept scrolling. The $1,200 Denver flight. Submitted under his name. Reimbursed. The $890 hotel in Chicago. Submitted. Reimbursed. 6 different receipts. 6 different trips. Every single one was an expense I'd paid for that Derek had claimed as his own. He wasn't forgetting to reimburse me. He was stealing from me. I sat there staring at my laptop screen, heart pounding. Then I did something I probably shouldn't have. I downloaded every single one of Derek's expense reports for the last 2 years. All of them. And I started cross-referencing. It took me 6 hours. What I found made me physically sick. March 2021, client dinner in Nashville. $680. I checked the CRM. We had no clients in Nashville that week. I checked his LinkedIn. He'd posted a photo from his anniversary trip with his wife. Same restaurant. Same date. He'd expensed his anniversary dinner as a business meal. July 2021, hotel in Miami. $1,240 for 3 nights. We had no business in Miami. But his wife had posted Instagram photos from South Beach with the caption "Much needed getaway blue heart." He'd expensed their vacation. December 2021, $4,300 in client gifts. I pulled the receipts. Louis Vuitton handbags. Tiffany jewelry. All purchased the week before Christmas. He wasn't buying gifts for clients. He was buying gifts for his wife and expensing them as business costs. I kept scrolling. Fake Uber rides. Phantom client dinners. Hotel rooms in cities we'd never visited. 47 fraudulent expenses. Total, $34,890. Over 18 months. And every single one had been approved by finance and reimbursed by the company. Which meant Derek hadn't just stolen from me. He'd stolen from Meridian. And by extension, he'd committed tax fraud because he never reported that $34,890 as income. The IRS really doesn't like unreported income. I couldn't go to HR, Derek was their golden boy. I couldn't go to finance, they'd already rejected my reports. But I could go to someone who would care. The IRS. Here's the thing about expense fraud: when a company reimburses you for fake expenses, that money becomes taxable income. If you don't report it, you're committing tax fraud. I spent the next 3 weeks building a case. First, I pulled every single one of Derek's expense reports for 2 years. I cross-referenced them with his Outlook calendar. I had access as his direct report, company CRM records showing actual client meetings, LinkedIn posts, and location tags. Derek loved posting about his grind. Second, I documented 47 expenses that were either completely fabricated or submissions of my receipts under his name. Total, $34,890 in fraudulent reimbursements over 18 months. Third, I requested my own credit card statements and bank records going back 2 years. I highlighted every transaction that matched an expense Derek had claimed. Fourth, I wrote a 23-page letter to the IRS Criminal Investigation Division. I included Timeline of Derek's fraudulent submissions, copies of every receipt, mine and his, email and text evidence of him asking me to pay, spreadsheet showing the discrepancies, screenshots of his expense approvals, my own financial records proving I'd never been reimbursed. I mailed it on a Friday in March. Certified letter. Signature required. And then I waited. 2 weeks later, Derek called me into his office. My heart nearly stopped. Isabel, hey, I've been thinking about what you said. About the expenses. I kept my face neutral. Okay. I talked to finance. They're willing to reimburse you for, let's say $4,000. Call it a goodwill gesture. But you need to sign a waiver saying you won't pursue this further. He slid a document across his desk. I picked it up. Read it slowly. It was a liability release. If I signed, I'd be agreeing that Meridian had acted in good faith and that I had no further claims against the company or any employees. 4,000? I said quietly. I'm owed over 8. That's the offer. Take it or leave it. I looked at him. At his Rolex. At the smug expression on his face. He thought he'd won. Can I think about it? He frowned. It's a one-time offer, Isabel. If you walk out of here without signing, it's off the table. I understand. I just need a day. He sighed. Fine. 24 hours. But I'm serious, this is your last chance. I stood up, left the document on his desk, and walked out. I didn't sign it. 3 weeks later, I got a call from an unknown number. Ms. Grant? This is Special Agent Whitmore with the IRS Criminal Investigation Division. Do you have a few minutes to talk? I nearly dropped my phone. Yes. Absolutely. We received your letter regarding Derek Callahan and Meridian Solutions. We'd like to schedule an interview. Are you available next week? I met with Special Agent Whitmore and his partner, Agent Torres, in a conference room at the Federal Building downtown. Whitmore was mid-50s, gray hair, reading glasses. Torres was younger, sharp eyes, took notes on everything. Ms. Grant, walk us through how you discovered the discrepancies. I opened my binder. Tabs color-coded. Receipts in plastic sleeves. Spreadsheets with highlighted totals. Whitmore raised his eyebrows. I started by tracking my own expenses, I said. The ones Derek refused to reimburse. Then I noticed he was submitting them under his name. Then I found the pattern. I walked them through the Nashville dinner. The Miami hotel. The $4,300 in client gifts. Torres stopped writing. He expensed his anniversary dinner? And his vacation. And his wife's Christmas presents. Whitmore flipped through the binder slowly. He stopped on a page showing a side-by-side comparison, Derek's expense report next to his wife's Instagram post from the same weekend. He smiled. Not a friendly smile. A shark smile. Ms. Grant, this is the most well-documented case of expense fraud I've seen in 15 years. Most people give us a hunch and maybe a couple receipts. You've given us a prosecution. Torres leaned forward. We're going to need copies of everything. And we'll likely need you to testify. I'll do whatever you need. Whitmore closed the binder. Looked at me directly. One more thing. Has Mr. Callahan tried to intimidate you? Retaliate? Offer you money to stay quiet? I thought about the $4,000 settlement offer. The liability waiver. Yes. 2 weeks ago he tried to get me to sign a release. Said I'd get $4,000 if I agreed not to pursue this further. Torres wrote that down. Underlined it twice. That's consciousness of guilt, Whitmore said. That helps us. He stood up. Shook my hand. Ms. Grant, don't mention this meeting to anyone. Especially not Mr. Callahan. We'll be in touch. I walked out of that building feeling 10 feet tall. For the next 8 weeks, I kept my head down. I went to work. I smiled at Derek. I closed deals. And I waited. In June, everything exploded. I was in the middle of a client call when I saw 2 people in dark suits walk into the office. They went straight to reception, showed badges, and asked for Derek Callahan. My stomach flipped. 10 minutes later, Derek walked out of his office, face pale, flanked by the 2 agents. They weren't arresting him. Not yet. But they were walking him out for questioning. The entire office went silent. Derek caught my eye as he passed my desk. He knew. I smiled. Just a little. The next day, Meridian's CFO sent an email to the entire sales team. Effective immediately, all expense reports will be subject to external audit. If you have submitted any expenses in the last 24 months that you cannot verify, please contact HR immediately. By the end of the week, Derek was on administrative leave. By the end of the month, he was fired. And 2 weeks after that, federal agents showed up at Meridian with a warrant. They walked out with boxes. Computers. Hard drives. I later found out, through a contact in finance, that the IRS had expanded their investigation beyond Derek. They were auditing the entire company's expense system. Apparently, Derek wasn't the only one playing games. 2 weeks after Derek was fired, I ran into him at a coffee shop 3 blocks from the office. He was sitting alone in the corner, laptop open, looking smaller. No Rolex. No Tesla keys on the table. Just a beaten-up messenger bag and regular drip coffee. He saw me before I could leave. Isabel. I froze. Can we talk? Just for a minute. Every instinct told me to walk away. But I wanted to hear this. I sat down across from him. He looked terrible. Thinner. Shadows under his eyes. Wrinkled shirt. I know it was you, he said quietly. I didn't say anything. The IRS didn't just happen to audit me. Someone gave them everything. And you're the only person who had access to my expense reports. I met his eyes. You told me to get it in writing, Derek. So I did. His jaw tightened. I could have paid you back. If you'd just waited. I waited 8 months. You stole my receipts and submitted them as your own. You gaslit me. You called me sweetheart and told me I was too emotional for sales. You didn't just refuse to pay me, Derek. You made me feel crazy for asking. He stared at his coffee. Silent. They froze my accounts, he said finally. Lauren's divorcing me. My lawyer says I might still face criminal charges. I'm broke, Isabel. I've got nothing left. I stood up. You should have gotten it in writing. I walked out. I didn't look back. 4 months later, Derek Callahan was charged with tax evasion and wire fraud. He pleaded guilty to avoid jail time. 3 years probation. $127,000 in restitution to the IRS. Permanent ban from holding any financial management role. His Tesla? Repossessed. His Rolex? Sold to pay legal fees. His corner office? Occupied by someone else. Me? I got promoted to senior account manager in August. $78,000 salary plus commission. My own team. My own territory. And Meridian quietly reimbursed me the full $8,247. Plus an additional $5,000 settlement with an NDA attached. I signed it. I didn't need to talk about what happened. The federal case did all the talking for me. Some revenge is loud. Public. Messy. But the best revenge? It's patient. It's documented. And it comes with the full force of the federal government behind it. Derek wanted me to get it in writing. So I did. I just sent it to the IRS instead of HR. If you've ever been stolen from, gaslit, or told to be a team player while someone robs you blind, subscribe. Because I've got more stories like this. And every single one ends with the thief learning that some people keep very good records. You can steal someone's money. You can gaslight them into thinking it's their fault. But you can't outrun a paper trail. And you definitely can't outrun the IRS.